You were looking for mysterious reads this winter and come across a book with this mysterious aura you can't name. It seems so eerie that you buy it. The simple act of reading that mysterious book makes you feel so many emotions. It's like your mind is playing games on you. Do words really have that much power, despite them being fiction? That's what people say when they read the short story collection, The King in Yellow, published in 1895. And today, we explore the mysterious entity with the power to induce madness just through words. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is the mysterious king shrouded in yellow? The King in Yellow is part of a cursed play and is also considered a cosmic entity that has made his presence in Robert W. Chambers' book of the same name. Chambers' book is a collection of short stories notoriously known for driving its readers to madness when they complete the second act. The book is regarded by many as one of the weirdest horror fiction ever written. The king is not mentioned directly anywhere, but his ominous presence is in the heart of all the stories. The cursed play's themes of madness and despair have left a lasting legacy, forever changing the landscape of literature. The yellow sign is considered a cursed or evil symbol inescapably associated with the king. This malevolent emblem spreads the darkness of the king and seals the fate of those who come face to face with it. It's further suggested in the original story that there is a disturbing connection between the king and the doomed play, a relation with a tattered, godly figure connected with the mystic city or Etil. Even though it has never been cited by the writer Robert W. Chamber, Ambrose Bierce's An Inhabitant of Carcosa might have influenced the mystical being's presence. Is it a coincidence that Bierce's story was published 9 years before Chambers' The King in Yellow? The beginning of madness. The cursed play didn't just appear as a poof. An American artist, Robert William Chambers, went to Paris to study art, and when he returned to the US soils, he started working as an illustrator, but he switched to writing some years later. Chambers' first publication was In the Quarter, mostly based on his experience living with a group of artists and students in Paris' Latin Quarter. In 1895, he published a compilation of short stories called The King in Yellow. The first 4 stories are believed to be set in Paris or New York around the 1920s, which is pretty futuristic if you think about it. The first page of The King in Yellow introduces the reader to the land of Carcosa. Carcosa sets a mysterious atmosphere, with twin suns that have already set behind the lake, and as night falls, black stars rise and strange moons circle through the sky. It might be the realm that the Yellow King rules, and when a stranger ventures into the land, he is like a lost soul in the abyss who must follow the Yellow King's bidding to return to reality, or, perish in the unknown land. In the next 4 stories, from Repairer of Reputations to The Yellow Sign, there is a mention of King in Yellow, although not in detail, through visions or text that has plunged the protagonist from those stories into delusions and delirium, leaving them to face dire consequences, sometimes even death, and they can do nothing about it. Some believe Chambers drew inspiration from the literary trends that occurred during his time. He was fascinated with knowing dark or forbidden tales that were panned down in the Yellow Book. Robert's stories dig into the darker side of human nature, delving into themes of decay, fear, and fragility of the human mind when faced with unknowable truths. The King in Yellow has left a lasting mark for centuries. It's not just a book, but has also influenced movies, TV shows, as well as video games. Famous writers like H.P. Lovecraft were inspired by it. I mean, even today, creators are still drawing ideas from The King in Yellow. You can see its influence in movies like In the Mouth of Madness, released in 1994, and The Lighthouse, released in 2019, where reality gets distorted. The HBO TV series True Detective, released in 2014, also borrowed heavily from The King in Yellow, introducing its themes to a wider audience. Beyond Nyarlathotep, exploring other possible interpretations. The true identity of the King in Yellow has yet to be discovered and hence has been the subject of much speculation. Some people consider the king to be Nyarlathotep, an ever-changing entity from the works of H.P. Lovecraft. The king and Nyarlathotep are associated with madness, chaos, and the ability to disguise themselves in various personas. even transforming into something sinister. They also have similar symbols, such as the yellow sign used to spread evil influence. Another theory regards the King in Yellow as the Hastur, a character in Lovecraftian stories. Hastur is related to madness, despair, and cosmic connections. Some people think that the king is an avatar or aspect of Hastur, representing his physical presence or influence. Other interpretations suggest that the King in Yellow is a separate figure unrelated to Nyarlathotep or Hastur. Instead, the king represents humanity's collective fears of the unknown, the fragility of the mind, and the dangers of seeking forbidden knowledge. Another famous interpretation of the King in Yellow is that it represents existential despair and the dangers of searching for truth. The play depicts a breakdown of societal and individual sanity when facing overwhelming truths. The influence of the King in Yellow on Lovecraft. Robert Chambers introduced one of the most influential horror books in the horror genre, The King in Yellow. Among the most famous horror writers, H.P. Lovecraft was heavily influenced by it. He has amazingly grasped the horror of the unknown and the supernatural, which made Cthulhu Mythos so monumental. H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu Mythos borrowed ideas from The King in Yellow, including forbidden knowledge, madness, and the idea that humans are insignificant in the universe. Robert introduced the idea of forbidden text like the fictional play The King in Yellow, which drives readers mad. Similarly, Lovecraft was inspired by this concept, which led to the creation of the Necronomicon, a book of forbidden knowledge. Both Robert and Lovecraft explored the dangers of curiosity and humankind's desire to understand something it cannot. They also devised eerie, otherworldly settings that made humans small and insignificant. Lovecraft took Robert's idea and built his horror universe. The theme of madness was central to both of these authors' works, often resulting in characters going through delirium, ultimately turning mad by truth. Today, The King in Yellow is a very influential work in the horror genre, with the legacy tied to Cthulhu Mythos and the evolution of cosmic horror. Other stories drawing inspiration from The King in Yellow. Throughout several mediums, the mysterious figure clad in yellow has walked into stories through manipulation and fear. The comic The Invisibles by Grant Morrison included a yellow-veiled burqa inspired by the pallid mask worn by the King in Yellow. However, when the King in Yellow is requested to remove the mask, he replies, "I wear no mask," symbolizing the pallid mask being his real face. Just like in Morrison's yellow-veiled burqa. The King in Yellow also appears in the Pathfinder's role-playing game, where he's portrayed as a powerful demigod. The avatar of Hastur, inspired by King in Yellow, is depicted in Yu-Gi-Oh!, a trading card game as Tour of Doom or Old Entity Hastur. The book and the BBC series of the same name, Good Omens, depicted the King in Yellow as a demon with human-like features, blonde hair, and brooding boils on his face, giving him a worn-down look. In the show, he's also known as the Duke of Hell. Marvelous verdict. The King in Yellow is one of the creepiest figures in horror, and its impact can still be felt today. Despite being published in the 1890s, Chambers has amazingly introduced themes of madness, forbidden knowledge, and cosmic fear that have inspired countless writers. The King in Yellow shows how fragile humans are when faced with the unknown. It's a masterful mix of psychological horror and cosmic terror that ensures the King's legacy will continue to captivate audiences. And if you liked our video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone!